Brian Leonhardt here with the Leonhardt team at Cole Banker Realty. We're a team of 12, sold a little over 150 properties last year and over 55 million. Today I have on one of our newest agents here by the name of Collin Peckman.
Yep.
So Collin, introduce yourself. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, my name is Collin. I'm originally from Lino Lakes.
We know your name's Collin. I already said that.
Yeah, I was just giving another reintroduction.
Okay, all right. Perfect.
Yeah, no, grew up in Lino Lakes, lived there for 18 years of my life. September, a little over a year ago, moved to Chisago. My dad works up here, so family kind of knew the area well, and that's when I kind of started looking into real estate and, found a local team that was close and fell in love, so.
Yeah, all right. So, Collin, how old are you?
I'm just turned 20 a couple weeks ago.
Just turned 20. So when Collin first came into our office, right, and he's going, hey, I'm going to, I want to join real estate. We've had a lot of 18-year-olds, or younger people come in, and it's like, it's usually one of the things, it's like, it's hard to understand what kind of toll this business kind of takes on you, how difficult it is, and how much I think you need some life experience to be able to handle it. It's very stressful in a way, right? Sure. So hesitant, 100%. And I think it was, when we brought him in, it was kind of this trial period. We didn't give him leads. We didn't give him opportunities. It just goes, learn this business. And you spent, right, you joined in September or October?
September, yeah.
You joined in September. I'm like, all right, well, you don't get paid unless you have a client and it closes, right? There's no other pay in real estate, right? Yep. And you came in September and October, and it's sometimes like a test, It's like, will you show up? When there's no opportunities for you.
Right.
And you showed up every single day?
Yeah.
And what did you do all day?
Well, I did a lot of, training, trying to look up and figure out, learn a bit of what the business is. Watch a lot of Tom Ferry videos and training videos like that, and kept myself occupied doing that. And, I tried to overhear conversations, just kind of get to know the lingo. So yeah, a lot of that when I started.
Yeah. So it was just every day he would show up.
Yeah.
And he would learn and just do as much as he could to learn. And you did that for what, 3 months?
Yeah, probably.
3 months?
2-3 months, yeah.
How long was it before we gave you your first lead?
I think
2 months?
Yeah.
A month and a half at least?
Yeah, I think it was mid-November, early November.
Early November.
Yeah.
So you got your real estate license, joined this team,
Yep.
Right? We didn't give you a single lead for 2 months or a month and a half, right? Yep. And you just sat there every day and learned.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I want to say, right, one, we don't usually do that, right? We usually, somebody comes in, they have some skills, right? And we'll start giving them leads right away so they can start to actually make a career out of this, right?
Yeah.
But he came in and just spent every day going, how do I learn this business? Mm-hmm. And now, maybe we could even test this, right? Collin may know more about real estate than most agents I know that have been doing this business for 5 years. 5 years. You can learn that because he spent all of his time just learning, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. And now I think it was one of those things where it's like, man, did we make a mistake? Should we have given him leads earlier? It's like, no, I think that that was the best scenario for you. Yeah. And also it just proved that like you're all in. Yeah. You don't even care if you do get paid. And now it ends up being as I was talking to him today, was this idea of going, it's really important for an agent because any client you can tell. And if you feel like this about your real estate agent, it's not a good sign. When you can tell that really what they're trying to do is to get the commission. We don't get paid any other way, yep. Right? So when you get put in a situation where you feel like your agent is going, I'm just trying to get this done so I can get paid, rather than keeping your best interest in mind, is a hard thing to do. But also, when you meet somebody like Collin who spends 2 months just trying to find ways to learn so he can help a client before he even starts helping you, right? A lot of agents will do it the other way. A lot of agents will go, I need to speak with a bunch of people and do this a bunch of times, right? And then learn. And that's just not the right way to do it, because you'll find a bunch of people, but you won't be able to know how to solve their problems or help them. And you'll end up just practicing on the client. So I think with Collin, know this, Collin has yet to sell a property. Hasn't. 0, right?
Correct, yep.
0 properties. Hasn't sold one yet, right? But I can tell you this, I'll promise you this. Actually, check back on this, right? he will sell a lot of properties in the future, for sure. This summer, I bet he sells a fair amount of properties because he knows it now. He knows actually how to help a client, which is the most important thing we do. It's not about finding a client. It's not about them calling you up and going, hey, I have 3 people who are $1 million buyers, right? You have to know how to help them. Absolutely. And if you don't know how to help them, then they should find a different agent, 100%.
Yeah.
But even from somebody who hasn't sold a property, I promise you, he can help a client better than most agents can. Most agents, the majority of agents, right? So now it's just time, right? It's just other opportunities. And now you have them.
Yeah.
How many appointments have you been on this week?
Within the last week, I think I was on maybe 10 or so.
You went on 10 appointments?
It was a good amount. Yep.
What?
Yep. It was a good amount.
I didn't know
a lot of showings. So it was a good week for me. Busy
wow.
week.
What has been the feedback you've had from clients you've shown?
I've heard all great things. I actually had a client who told me that, they're glad they found me. They've never had an agent treat them this way. He actually said, I know there's agents that are more certified than you. I know people who've been in it for, 20 years, but they don't respond like you do. They don't answer my questions like you do. They just don't, do it like you do.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They usually don't. You take special care of your clients, which is a good trait to have. But when they say something like that, what are the things that you do to make them that they would say something like that to you?
I mean, really, when they have a question, I try to get them the best answer that I can get for them. Even if I don't know it right away, I'll, dig a little deeper, whether it's reaching out to a listing agent, reaching out to one of you guys to figure it out for them. So it's really just going above and beyond that way. And then my communication, I try to, text back or call back as soon as I can because, I know what it's like to, sit there waiting for hours and hours and then, you might lose interest or, might go elsewhere to get the answer. So
yeah.
I never want that to happen to any of my clients. So I try to, be good with my communication as well. So.
Yeah. And I think it's that you being younger, right? You'll have this stigma or we have this stigma of going, well, you haven't done this for a long time, so you must not be good. I want, when you meet a client, they're like, oh, I chose this person because they've been experienced they've done it for 30 years. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean that they're really good at it. It doesn't. And then it's also you have some people oh, they've had their license for the last 20 years, but they've only sold 1 or 2 properties a year. And it's well, mathematically, I mean, they only know 40 different situations, right?
Right.
And I'll tell you this is, every 3 months, this market is different. There's different, there's even different forms in the MLS. There's different, balances between buyers and sellers. And if you aren't doing it a lot, and I think the great thing about being on a team is the fact that you haven't done a single contract, but how many contracts have you learned from?
Right. I mean, a ton. Seeing what you guys do, hearing what you guys talk about, different situations that come up. It's been really exponential for me to hear. And it's helped me learn a lot more too.
So if you sell 0 properties, but you have another agent who's been doing it for 2 years and they've sold 10 properties, right?
Uh-huh.
Who ends up knowing more? Well, it's the person that's been through the most situations and heard the most different ways to do it. Because the longer you do this and the more situations you get into, the more problems you'll be able to uncover and solve, which is the importance of what we do. When we do have a short appraisal that happens, right, there's 3 or 4 things you can do. But if you haven't been in that situation or around somebody to be able to tell you and coach you what those situations are, or if you don't remember them, then you don't know how to help your client as best, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing of even selling 0 properties, but then you still know the different ways that you can help an appraisal or a appraisal that comes in short. Have you ever had that happen to you? Appraisal came in short?
I have not.
All right. Let's say I have a property
Uh-huh.
that's $350,000, right?
Yeah.
I got an offer at $350,000. Appraisal comes in at $330,000. And you are representing, let's say, the buyer on this, or you're representing the seller on this, right? What happens? What can you do?
If as a seller?
As a seller, or appraisal comes in short, what do you do?
Yeah. So you'd go into a negotiation phase, right?
Yeah.
Kind of see if the buyer's, willing to still pay that $350 or, negotiate down, maybe meet in the middle somewhere around $340. Does that sound accurate or?
Yeah, that's one way you can do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The other 2 ways? Do you know the other ones?
Other ones, no, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
That's all right. You haven't been in it.
It might ring a bell once you say it.
All right. So this is what happens. And here we go. Is that happens. You have appraisal that comes in short. There's a few things you can do. One, the first thing is go, oh, well, you can negotiate that with the buyer.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that. A lot of sellers will go, okay, well, it came in appraised low. We'll have to take that number like this. This is tough.
Yeah.
But the other things you can do is, one, you can challenge that appraisal. You can send in new comps to that lender to go, hey, here's other comps that'll work like that, right? Because usually when this happens, you're in multiple offers.
Right.
So you probably have other buyers back behind it anyways.
Yep.
So knowing that for the sellers to go, well, let me talk to those other buyers and see if they're potentially an option to be able to take these. Or then also what you can do is then challenge it to see if the lender will, or the appraiser will move up the value a little bit. They rarely do.
Yeah.
Right. But at least you tried something. You tried that. Then the other thing you can do is go, okay, well, there's another way you can technically try to get the appraisal thrown out. Right. If it's really bad, very rare that ever happens.
Right.
But the buyer can switch a lender and get a new appraisal.
Sure.
So you can keep that same person, or the buyer can just bring the funds to cover the difference.
Yep.
Or if you have a seller that has a backup offer, well, let's see if they are potential at it. Right. Now, then you have a new buyer come in, see how quickly they can close. Those are 3 ways you can do that, right? Sure. But I think that it's that of like knowing all those situations. And the nice thing is about Collin is the fact that we're one phone call away.
Right.
That situation comes up. You just go, hey, let me call Brian or Josh or Andrew or Mercedes and go, what should I do?
Yeah. That's been a huge thing for me because I'm someone who learns as I do. So, I need someone to answer my, maybe dumb questions or something like that. So it's always nice to have, a list of people who are just one call away. So it's been huge for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's that of like when it comes to, joining our team, or like when it comes to working with an agent that's on the team, realize you don't just get Collin. You get our expertise, our knowledge. You get Tawny's marketing ability. You get all of these things that support you, right? And then, so that's, you're not just getting one person, even though it might seem like that. You may only talk to Collin. You may only see that. But believe me, I know Collin's clients, if you can hear this right now, I probably know what house you're looking for. I probably do. I know the situation that you're in. I've probably helped negotiate part of your contract before, right?
Yep.
That's the thing. I'm here to help, right?
Yeah.
All of those things happen. So Collin doesn't have to know. You don't get just Collin. Yeah. You get Collin and, Josh's 18 years of experience and my 7 years and hundreds of contracts, right? Yep. You get all of that too. And that's what our job is, I think, as me, Josh, and Tawny, and then some of the leaders on our team, is to go, we'll always continue to find the best way to help serve our clients and share that with our team to make sure that each one of those clients is represented as best as they possibly can. And if we ever feel like they're not, then that's a conversation we have with that agent to go, this is not the standard that we portray or we expect. And Collin lives up to that standard, but 100%. 100%. I think that when it comes to hiring an agent, man, I would hire Collin for real. And I think the biggest thing is you have this big hurdle of going, well, he's so young. How does he know? Let me just hire an agent that has been doing it for a long time. But then it's just that idea that you expect that somebody that's been doing it for a long time means that they're good. And that's not the case all the time. A lot of times it is. Experience helps a ton. You have to go through a ton of contracts, go through a ton of situations to know that. But I remember when I was in, my 3rd year or so, and that would come up a lot. And I was, I guess I was younger than most, the average agent, right? But then it would be like, oh, I wanted to work with somebody who's been doing it for 30 years. I'm like, but they've been doing it for 30 years and sell 2 properties a year.
Right.
Like, mathematically, they've only sold 60 properties in their life. I sold 60 properties in my first 2 years. Yeah. So I know 60 experiences. I know the same amount of experience that they potentially do.
Right.
It's like I think you have to quantify it like that too. When you go, especially when it comes to hiring somebody that you're friends with, it's like, oh, I have an uncle that does this. I'm like, yeah, well, they haven't done it for the last 5 years. If you haven't done it in the last 5 years and the last thing you remember was 2018 or 2019 and you don't know what it was like after that, you are at a severe disadvantage to trying to figure out how different it is. It is dramatically different.
Yeah.
And it changes. This market was completely different in the wintertime compared to what it is now. And if you don't know that and you aren't adapting to that, you're not providing the best value for your client. Would you agree, Collin?
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely a lot of changes throughout the market. So working with someone who's, on top of it, in the office every day, seeing it every day, seeing all the changes, it's definitely huge.
Yeah. What would you say is like your focus on when it comes to working with a client? Like what do you What do you try to do, I guess?
Well, I just want them to be in the best situation for them. So, whether I have to have the conversation with them, like, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to do this right now, but maybe a couple months down the line, it might be a better time. Market might be, slow down a little bit. Pace is different. But, yeah, no, really just I want them to get into a place that they're happy in. I don't want them to feel like I'm ever pushing them to do anything. So I try to go over that, be like, hey, if you see something you don't like, let me know. It's not a big deal. There's other properties out there that I can find for you.
So you've sold 0 properties, made legitimately 0 money.
Yep.
How do you tell somebody not to buy a house when you have gas to pay for?
Right. I mean, I'm a very unselfish person. I feel like, for me, it'd be selfish if I push them to do something they don't want to do. It's just something I can't do. So
just can't do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's the way you have to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing we do is we have to walk side by side through this process with our client and look at it from their perspective. And it doesn't matter what our perspective is in a way, right? It doesn't matter that, we're missing our rent payments or our mortgage payment, right?
Yeah.
We can't then go, all right, well, I have to make this work. So yeah, I know that foundation wall looks like it's falling in, but not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Please buy this house, right? Or I know that you hate this yard, but it's pretty, so please buy it. You know what I mean? I need this to close pretty quickly.
Right.
Or let's say worst case scenario, right? Let's say the scenario that you went through. Collin had one contract that was under contract, right?
Yep.
And financing ended up falling through.
Yep.
Well, during that point, sometimes this is what can happen, right? It's like I had one specifically like this actually. I'll tell this story, right? I have a client that I've been working with for 4 or 5 years, right? And, showing a couple properties here and there, right? And they finally wrote an offer on a house, right? And we got accepted, went through the inspection. Inspection went really well. We got after the inspection period, and they called me and go, hey, we don't want to buy this property anymore. Well, that's a little frustrating. I've spent 4 years of time, a lot of time on this.
Right.
And also, this is kind of a time period that you can't really do that.
Yeah.
Well, what do? And I remember they had a lender, and that lender was like, called them and was like, hey, you can't do that. They'll sue you. You'll lose your earnest money. And was like really pushing and really forceful. And it scared them. Yeah. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. Let me see what I can do. Right. When it was like, they may never buy a home with me again. They may never buy a home. Right. I've spent a lot of time and this was a perfect situation for them. But I think then it was just like, hey, I got you. That's all right. I won't get paid. I won't get paid for all of the time I've spent so far. I may not get paid in the future.
Right.
That's okay. I'm here to see if I can get you out of this, right?
Right.
And I talked to listing agents, I'm like, hey, this is what happened. We're not too far out. I know you guys have other offers. Is this okay? And like, yeah, totally get it. Things come up, and they refunded our earnest money. Thankfully, thank you for the agent that let my clients, do that. But, that's the thing, and that's the care. Because when you get in that moment, man, it's kind of hard. It's hard for a lot of agents to kind of go, man, I've spent so much time and for nothing.
For sure.
And then also I have to advocate to get you out of this, right? And handle that, control it, and put myself in a really bad situation or them because, this is the time period you can't really do that,
Yeah.
And I think that, when you had that happen, it was like a test. I'm like, all right, well, can Collin handle this? Like, this is going to be tough. Is he going to be like, hey, he's almost to the finish line and he has a financing fall through? It's like, well, will we still keep the client's best interests in mind? And you did. Yeah. And you help protect them. You help ease their concern. Go, let's get you out of this. Let's find the best way that helps you. Right. Yeah. And, so I think that's a skill that you have to learn, or it's hard to have that.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's important to have.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to anybody that ends up working with Collin, one, he has a team of agents there to support him and always do. Right, Collin?
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
We just do. Right? And then also on that, man, I know he seems young. I know it seems like it, 0 contracts. How could he know? How could he help? But man, I promise you he can. It's obvious. And anybody that's worked with him, if you see this right now, if this is posted somewhere, put a comment and go, yeah, Collin is like that. This isn't made up. I don't lie about this stuff, So,
Real deal.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. And it's not a marketing pitch at all. It's just the truth. So if you ever get a chance to work with Collin, or you just know Collin, tell him he's doing a good job. Because spending that much time, you've been here for how long, and you have made little to no money, yet you are still in here every single day trying to help clients.
Yep.
It'll happen.
Yeah,
So
it's like the quote you tell me hanging right behind you: humble expectation, relentless execution. So,
that's right.
and kind of sticking to that, and just chugging along, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. So
Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah.
It'll work. It takes a while though,
Right.
but it'll work.
Yep.
So just always keep your client's best interest in mind, and you do. So tell them kudos, tell them good job, and clients, you're lucky to have them actually. So if you believe that, yeah, post him a comment. Tell him he's doing a good job, because when you haven't sold anything, you're not young, right? Will this thing actually work? It's hard to know, right? You just kind of got to trust it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you trust it so much, but it's good that you do.
Yeah.
All right? So it'll work. So that's Collin Peckman, 20 years old, realtor on the Lenhart team. Check back in 1 year from now. We're gonna do this. I'll tell you what he's done. See if we were right. So
for sure.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Yep. Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Check out this new coat.
Yep.
My God, what is this?
Built BYLT.
BYLT.
Yeah.
So Collin has been wearing this thing like what? I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. No, I love it.
And all right, so
Gosh, I didn't know anyone noticed. Might have to tone it back a little bit.
So he got it as a Christmas present. He's like, Brian, you'd like this. And I'm like, all right, well, am I really gonna buy the same shirt as one of our youngest agents on our team? And I was like, duh. I even tried to get the exact same color. I was off a little bit. Mine is a heather gray, and he's got a straight gray. So, but yeah, I'm out here, going, just copying what Collin does, 100%. Well, I don't know. This wasn't supposed to be a built promotion, but these things are amazing.
They are nice.
It's like Kevlar or something.
Yeah. Yep. Fits nice too, nice and snug.
Yeah.
It's not like overly heavy to the point where it's like you're sweating in it.
Yeah.
Too, so
but it like blocks wind and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It fits. I'm really tall, and it's called a drop cut. So like it's like long enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on with these magnetic buttons here.
Yeah, magnetic buttons pocket inside too.
And they have like a little thing. And every single time, maybe somebody else will think this is funny. Somebody will think this. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Billy Madison, right? And they go, I got this shirt from Frank. I want to write Frank on the bottom of this. And it'll be, you have to be old enough to understand that one. But
yeah.
Collin has no idea what I'm talking about. You say you do. You have no idea. Nobody
I've seen the movie like once or twice, but not enough to like recall what the quote is. It's been a while, so.
Tell me that wouldn't be hilarious.
That would be.
Got this shirt from Frank.
Yeah, get it like sewn on there or something.
No, you got to write in permanent marker.
There you go.
That's how it goes.
Is that how it is in the movie?
Yep. Frank.
Yeah. See, that's how well I know it. So.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's it. This is it. I'm over here just copying what Collin does. Like this shirt is great.
Yep.
I usually don't get too many, request or like recommendations of clothing.
Yeah.
Especially from a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
So.
He's teaching me real estate. I'm teaching him how to dress.
Don't. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Look at these. These are fresh. These are white.
Fresh. Those are fresh.
Okay. Got it. All right. Built. We like you. All right. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
We'll get a couple more of these.
Yep.
I'll put Frank on the bottom of this. That's when we need customized. Built ones that say Frank on the bottom of it. Built, can you help us out with that? All right. Cool. Collin, Brian, same shirt. Every 3 times. How many days a week are we going to wear this together? You wear it like 2 or 3? 2. I have 2 different colors though, so this might be.
I got to find time to wash it in between. So.
Built, thank you. You're the best.